come. I don't know if they'll be able to see me, but once again, my name is Chatachi Egwu. I am an ambassador for Social Media Week Miami. This is my second year being an ambassador. I'm also a mass media professor. So I love all things social media. I love all things media. And this is particularly important because I think we've all been touched by this in some sort of way. So what I'm going to do is they have our speakers, our illustrious speakers have small presentations for you. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves first, and then we're going to get on to the presentations, and then we will have a Q&A afterwards, okay? Fantastic. That good with everybody? Are we awake? Yeah. Okay, all right, here we go. And we will start here with Matt.
Thank you. My name is Matt Cooper. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association. We're based here in Miami in Coral Gables. We're a federation of 32 different national hotel associations representing the islands of the Caribbean. Very happy to be here.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Christina Armand and I'm the social media manager for Miami International Airport. And I'm sure each and every one of you have either experienced or gone through the airport at one point in your life. And I'm looking forward to talking to all of you.
Today,
welcome. Welcome. I'll talk to you afterwards. I want some, I like feedback from people.
check my Twitter.
Okay. Get your handle.
I'm glad you brought that. I want you guys to be social. So tweet, Facebook, whatever it is that you use, tweet it up, and the hashtag is hashtag SMW Miami. So after everything you do, put that hashtag so we can compile and see who was here, and we would love to trend, right? So hashtag it up, guys. All right, so you said you'd like to start,
yes.
And I would love for you to start. So she has a small presentation that we're going to talk. So please, eyes towards the screen.
I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit more about our airport, Miami International Airport, and if you want to interact with us or tweet at us, our handle is at iFlyMIA. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at iFlyMIA. So I hope you guys will start to follow us.
It's what MIA?
At iFlyMIA.
iFly.
Yes. So, just a little bit of information about our airport. If you do follow us on Twitter, you'll see that yesterday we celebrated our 87th anniversary. So we've been around since 1928. We were also the first airport to have a passenger terminal in all of the United States. So we've been ahead of the trend and ahead of the industry since we started. We're the #1 ranking airport among U.S. airports for international freight. Cargo is a big deal of what goes on at the airport that you guys may not experience or see on a daily basis, but everyone in here who either purchased or received flowers for Mother's Day or Valentine's Day, chances are they came through Miami International Airport before they got to your location. 91% of all flowers that come into the United States come through MIA. We're also the top ranking airport in the country with carriers. In 2014, we added 8 new carriers, and we can proudly say that we have over 100 air carriers at MIA, and we're growing. Next month, we're adding Austrian Air and Turkish Air. We're the second largest airport for international passengers in the country. JFK is #1, we're #2. Our economic impact is $33.5 billion. We supply 37.5 thousand direct jobs from MIA. But on top of that, direct and indirect jobs in Miami-Dade County number is 282,000. We also last year had almost 41 million passengers come through MIA. Just to put that into perspective, that's the same amount of people that live in Colombia right now. So that's a lot of people that we see every day. 70% of international visitors to this whole state of Florida come through MIA, and 96% of visitors that come to Miami fly through our facility.
I'm sold.
Thank you. So with all this growth that we keep doing, we have to keep innovating and creating new ways. So last year we launched before I get that, this is a map of all of our direct flights, both cargo and passengers. As you can see, we have very large routes over here in Asia. These are cargo routes. Hopefully soon we'll be adding passenger routes. But we keep growing. We have 147 nonstop passenger destinations, and we're adding more next month. We're doing Istanbul, Miami, Vienna, Miami, doing Istanbul, Vienna, Munich, Iceland, but we already have Vegas nonstop.
You have a viewer from Istanbul on Periscope,
Yes.
so he says hello.
Oh, thank you. Hello. Come to MIA starting October 25th, nonstop. So last year we released our first version of our app. Now the app is a great resource while you're in the airport that's going to help you get around and see what's around you, what get your flights out of. But we are currently in production of the second version of our app that uses beacon technology. Meaning from the minute you open up the app, when you're going to the airport, it'll give you maps on traffic conditions. You can put in your flight information to already tell you what gate number you are. You'll receive notifications if that gate does change on your phone, it'll pop up. It'll give you wayfinding directions. So if you want a burger, it'll tell you how to get to the closest burger place and turn-by-turn directions on how to get there. We're very excited to launch that, and that's coming up next month. It's both in English and Spanish. We also launched last year our e-magazine, MIA Connections. It's miaconnects.com, and it tells about everything that's happening both in Miami-Dade County and at the airport. This is the inaugural issue. Our summer issue is out right now if you go to the website, and one of the things that you can see is about the local craft beer scene in Miami, which is right around where we are right now. So if you want to know more about it, visit miaconnects.com. And this is one of the articles in that issue about our art. We have a very diverse art collection in the airport. Even our floors are considered art at the airport. And then we keep growing each year, but our satisfaction numbers keep growing with us. And it didn't pop up. I'm sorry. And that's about it. That's a little overview of Miami International Airport, and I look forward to hearing you guys in a little while.
As we're waiting for him to pull up yours, the viewer on Periscope wants to know the price of the flight from Istanbul to Miami, if you know that yet.
Well, my chief of staff just walked in. Mr. Napoli, we have a viewer from Istanbul.
Oh, wow.
He's interested in coming to visit us in Miami.
Excellent. Okay.
So I don't think we have, they're gonna have to check on Turkish Air website for that.
Check on Turkish Air website.
But they are going to have discounted tickets for the first inaugural flights.
Did you hear that? Discounted tickets for the first inaugural flights. We can take that down, yes?
You can, yeah, you can take that to the thing.
October
Fantastic.
25th.
October 25th. Thank you. All right, Matt, take it away.
Thank you. What'd you say?
Got it?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, we are a federation of 32 national hotel associations throughout the Caribbean region. We're the largest private sector, representative of the private sector hospitality industry in the region. I mention that because we're also the ones that are most affected by things like collaborative economies and those kinds of trends that really bring travel to the Caribbean, book travel. We represent tourism interests both globally and regionally, of course, and historically been a major player in the tourism industry in the Caribbean. We have a couple of conferences. I'd be remiss in not reminding you, if you didn't already know, that we have a conference going on in Fajardo, Puerto Rico next month called CHIEF, the Caribbean Hospitality Industry Exchange Forum. It's a learning conference for our hoteliers based on 3 tracks: sales and marketing, operations, and sustainability, green practices. So a wide range of management, hotel management will be represented there. In sales and marketing, of course, we're talking front and center about social media and how that needs to be integrated into everybody's vernacular and at the center of their marketing plans. We have Chicos, which is an investment conference, bringing partners from all over the world interested in investing in the region for matters of tourism, resort development, and such, and also in Puerto Rico next November 12th to 13th at the Ritz-Carlton in San Juan. We have Caribbean Travel Marketplace, which is a buyer-supplier show we do every January on a different island. This January 21st to 23rd happens to be at Atlantis, one of the only islands that has the facilities to house that much square footage of of people from tourism. So all of our hotel partners will be there, as well as the buyers, OTAs, tour operators, and the like that sell the Caribbean, to come together and have 2 days of 20-minute speed dating sessions together. So that's our biggest show of the year. We have about 1,200 delegates that are represented there. Taste of the Caribbean is every June we have a culinary competition and a culinary showcase called Taste of the Caribbean, really showcasing the cuisine of the region. It's really just such an amazing part of the vernacular of any region, of any part of the world, really. Like language, like music, is a people defined by their food, and no place like that than in the region. Next June, it will be in Miami, and it most likely will be a collaborative effort with our public sector partners, the Caribbean Tourism Organization. That hasn't been made official yet, but that will make this a much bigger conference. And another thing we do is an education foundation. We've raised more than $2 million over time for Caribbean nationals to go to hospitality school. We have a dollar match program with Cornell, Johnson & Wales, and FIU, among other universities. So that's a way that we give back. We also have a consumer-facing website called CaribbeanTravel.com. We're about to launch a booking engine, a honeymoon registry, a blogger network, and a monthly trip giveaway to drive some organic traffic to the site. Onto the subject of collaborative and shared economies, as we talked about, we draw this out because this is fresh on the lips of our hoteliers. And this really illustrates what is about to happen when Expedia acquires Orbitz. What I have here are all the major players that book Caribbean travel. Expedia being the biggest fish, about to absorb Orbitz or acquire Orbitz. This is now being considered by the Department of Justice of whether or not Orbitz or whether or not Expedia will get too big by doing this. And we have expressed our concerns about that, especially with the small hoteliers, of whom are our bread and butter members. More than 60% of our hotel companies at the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association are small, independently owned hotels, not chains, right? So once this happens, we'll in essence have a duopoly. We'll have Expedia grabbing Orbitz, and the remainder is Priceline. Booking.com is coming up front and center as a serious competitor to Expedia, a room-only model at the moment, but they're getting into some different dynamics. The day that dynamic packaging is done, meaning room and airfare packaged together by Booking.com, Expedia is going to be really worried. So this, in essence, takes away, or we're concerned that it'll take away from the negotiating power of our smaller guys, right? Because Expedia and the like can charge anywhere between 15 and 25% commission for each booking that they make. Now, Expedia has a tremendous value to the region because they have the money to advertise, they have the money to be in the market to the tune of millions of dollars a day. When you combine all they spend in SEO, SEM, social, TV, and other media, there is no bigger spender than Expedia. So they have tremendous value. They're bringing a ton of travelers to the region every year. They represent 6,000 different hotel products in the region. But we're concerned about the negotiating power of our constituents. Now, if you realize here, all of these companies that surround this little daisy wheel were once independent companies, were once companies on their own. So these guys have gone and gobbled them up, including Kayak here at the Priceline model, which is an aggregator. Basically, was the king of meta search. Now Trivago has really kind of taken that spot. Trivago is now owned by Expedia. So it's not only an acquisition of travel companies that we've seen happen in this convergence, it's also a convergence of technology companies. So not only are these the buyers that are packaging and wholesaling travel experiences, but they also have the technology to drive the traffic beyond the traditional advertising. Now in comes shared economies. We've got Home Away, which has been around for years. Red Week, which is a kind of a hybrid, but it's something that the timeshare industry relies on for for folks that own timeshares to offload any weeks that they're not going to use. Airbnb, of course, is the center of it all. Couch surfing, you can actually rent somebody's couch and sleep on it. And I've met a couple of people that have done that very successfully. So that's kind of the market that we're looking at. FlipKey by TripAdvisor kind of snuck in there. TripAdvisor's in the travel booking game now too, which is really interesting. Everybody that's really in the technology game on a huge scale, like Google's getting into the travel business as well. Amazon is getting into the travel business. So we're seeing a lot of big players get in there. Now this looks like, here we go. So this is a snapshot of Airbnb right now in the Caribbean. Actually, this was taken in June by our media partners at Caribbean Journal. If you've never been to Caribbean Journal, check it out. All news in the Caribbean, especially as it pertains to tourism, but a pretty interesting read. The guys based on Brickell Avenue that are doing a bang-up job covering our region. But this is interesting to see that Airbnb all of a sudden, it's not all of a sudden, maybe they've been around since 2012, have significant market share in the Caribbean region, selling condos, selling villas, selling a lot of things that were off the radar to traditional travel companies, right? What this has forced is Booking.com getting into the villas and condo rental business. And so by virtue of that, we see Expedia now getting into the villa rental and vacation rental business and private residences and condos. Notice our friends Cuba, 1,000+ rooms. That's something that happened very, very quickly. And Cuba is unique, of course, as we understand, has its uniqueness in political persuasion in the region, to put it lightly. But Cuba also, a few years ago, introduced a private sector model of doing business that they never had before. There was never a private sector in Cuba. Their version of that included something called paladares, or casa propias, which meant that they issued private sector licenses to people that were willing to rent out a room in their house, run a restaurant out of their house, and the like. This is something that on a large scale we have never had in the region and in a lot of other regions in the world. So Cuba all of a sudden became a case study for Airbnb. Airbnb went up there and snatched all that market share from the paladares because there was nobody else selling it on that scale. And so this count was done in June, the hard way. These guys did it by keyword searching. Now, September 8th, there was an article published in Forbes magazine about this. Look it up, it's a great article. Cuba is up to 2,600 accommodations. That's from June to September. So we're seeing Airbnb gobble some stuff up. And I found this slide also on the net. This is something on SlideShare, actually. This is something that was interesting to me because it posed a worst case, best case scenario about shared economies and Airbnb, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But it's already kind of changed because if you notice, one of these things is sharing movement goes global and mainstream. I think we're kind of there, you know. But to understand the scope of this, Airbnb and other like are not charged taxes, are not regulated by the governments. There is no quality control. Okay, so that's really the concern of the traditional hotelier. Hotels have to adhere to strict regulations and guidelines by the governments to make sure that there is quality control, make sure that there are matters of safety that are addressed, to make sure that sanitation is regulated. Those kinds of things that we don't really think about when we go check ourselves into a hotel are the things that go on behind the scenes, are the things that are really governmental affairs at the base of it. Airbnb and a lot of these other guys fly under the radar. Why? Because they're doing business directly with a private owner. A lot of times that private owner is an expat, somebody that doesn't live on one of our islands, okay, and the money is coming from offshore. So the money never comes through to the local economy on these islands and is never really contributing to the greater good of these islands. Now everybody wants to call the government a bad guy, but try driving on an unsafe road. You know, try going to an island that doesn't have great security. and safety measures that we need to worry about. And those are things that we need to kind of balance as we see Airbnb rise to the way that it has risen. Where did it go?
Someone overrode the system.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but we're, yeah, it went away. Let's see if we can get it
I think
back.
you can open it back up.
Let's see, is it this one? Yeah. So the arguments that we want to consider by looking at this slide,
Don't.
and then we'll click through, is worst case, best case. So worst case says successful lobbying by global hotel chains means governments apply stifling regulation leading to an outright global ban. That's not going to happen. Why is that not going to happen? Because we already have hoteliers that are playing the game with Airbnb. We're already seeing hoteliers that have some rooms out of inventory, or some rooms that don't have traditional full service that a hotel typically offers, that are getting into this game. And so it's contributing in a way to the economy because it's bringing arrivals to these islands, right? It's bringing people to experience our beautiful region, right? Private rentals and ride shares are cast illegal in the world's leading cities, and a global ban is enforced. A global ban, not going to happen. But we see in Fort Lauderdale that there has been a battle with Uber, right? And now Uber is technically illegal in Fort Lauderdale. I understand from my friend Christina here that it's technically illegal in Miami-Dade County too, but I didn't know that. And a lot of people don't, because a lot of people can ride Uber in Miami, right? Airbnb followed the fate of the trailblazing brands such as Nokia and BlackBerry. I don't think this is going to go the way of the dodo bird for sure, right? Retroactive taxation and fines is really of the benefit to no one. Consumer backlash in response to polemic, not happening. Peer-to-peer sales plummet. That's kind of funny. And sharing movement slowly dies out. That's even funnier. Best case scenario, update of current legislation to create open market for sharing brands. I think we need to move in that direction very definitely. Our governments in the region, as we're going to develop a very public paper on this in collaboration with American Hotel and Lodging Association that represents all the hotels in the United States, to say that the governments really need to understand the impact and the multiplier effect of these kinds of collaborative sharing economies. And the impact that it brings in bringing tourism arrivals, in making different kinds of accommodations available to people that may not necessarily want to check into a traditional hotel, may want to stay in somebody's house. It's a way to sort of immerse themselves in the local culture, to eat somebody's food. Maybe they get invited to dinner at that room that they rent in that house that they're living in. Listening to the language, listening to their music. It's a different kind of cultural immersion. Not for everybody. A lot of people like staying in the Mandarin Oriental or the Four Seasons or all the way down to the Marriott brands and chains and Starwoods, and they like the smell of that. They like to have full service. They like to have a bar downstairs. They like to have somebody that can shine their shoes. They like to have a concierge. So we really need to be infinitely aware, though, of the impact of this Airbnb and these shared economies, and move towards some kind of regulation, because I think it's needed. I think we've already heard the horror stories in the media of sometimes this shared economy not working out. Having a cuckoo Uber driver is not totally out of the question. Having a bad experience in somebody's house and not being really sanitary or up to snuff, or they play loud music, or they have some strange ritual that they perform in the living room. I mean, these are things that you are, kind of opening yourself up to with an Airbnb experience. Brands such as Airbnb and Uber mature to become like eBay and Amazon and host, right? We can see that kind of happening, right? Maybe Airbnb gets acquired, who knows? This is a company that's already worth billions of dollars, right? Further segmentation and niche development. Mining big data, of course that's going to happen. Mining big data is what everybody online is in the business of doing, and how they can sort of tailor make their message to the consumer that they're trying to reach. And that's really my take on that. Any questions? Are we going to go through Q&A now?
Yes,
Yeah, your turn.
I have some.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so what we're going to move into now is kind of this Q&A part of it. You are definitely allowed to ask questions. Please do ask questions. But I also have a line of questioning. I'm going to see if I can hop up here. Is this yours? Yes, mine. Maybe not. Okay, I have a torn ACL, so it's hard. So I'm just going to act like I'm cool and just kind of sit
We can
on
do
the
that
side.
with you.
No. You're good. You're good. Yeah. You're the guest. You say you're at my house, so I'll sit. I'll stand. Thank you. Isn't it lovely? Okay, so I just have a few questions for you all. Again, you all are welcome to chime in. If you, okay, do you want to sit? Would you like to come in? Yeah, come on in. There's some chairs back there. And this is also a time for you, Periscope and Meerkat, to ask questions. If I can't get over there, ask them again, because I know they'll disappear, and I'll definitely ask them. So this whole sharing economy, or this collaborative economy, is this a fad, or do you think this is here to stay? Is it a fad the way it is now? Well, I know we talked about that this has always been the case, but do you see this dissipating? Do you see this losing popularity at some point?
No, I think it is here to stay because as people travel, they look for different experiences depending on the type of experience you want. You will find it. I think the internet and easier access to technology has made it more accessible for us to be able to find these unique experiences within the travel industry. But it's not just travel, it's penetrated every single sector you can think of. If I'm going to a party, I can rent a dress. I can go to classes without becoming a member of a gym. There's so many different areas that there are within this collaborative economy that I think it is here to stay, and it's just going to keep growing and growing.
Just evolving.
Correct.
What about? What do you think?
Agreed, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of it kind of sell out, like I touched on. So somebody's going to buy it and it's going to morph into something else. The coolest thing and the most sort of overwhelming thing at the same time in watching technology move as fast as it has is how it has created these kinds of experiences and these kinds of points of sale. So I see it evolving. It's not going away. It's definitely not a fad.
Do you think it's a bad thing, just piggybacking off of this whole selling out concept? I don't fault you if you own an Airbnb and you say, I'm going to sell it I'm not faulting you. But do you think it changes the experience? Do you think that it erases the very thing that the sharing economy was trying to create?
Sure. Well, look at Facebook. I mean, that was something that was no advertising, no any of the time. I'm not mining your data, any of that stuff. All along, they've been mining data and figuring out how to monetize it.
Absolutely.
That's why they're in the game.
Absolutely, and I can't fault you for that.
No.
Okay, so how is this, talk about your specific industries, you at the airport and then with what you do. Talk about how this sharing economy is specifically affecting you.
Well, collaborative economy really hasn't affected aviation the way it has affected other industries. We do see certain examples like ExoJet and NetJet, where you can rent a jet for a segment where I'm flying to Nassau and my plane's empty and I sell a portion of that flight to you.
Okay.
But that is still in its infancy. There's still a lot of regulation and rules with that. So it is going, but what I have seen is that this collaborative economy and the shared economy has kind of evolved into an on-demand economy.
Okay.
And we've had to adapt and change the way we do business so people meet those expectations that they want everything immediately and now. So, for example, with our customs and immigration area, we have had to look at technological advances and ways to get people processed quicker because people want everything quick and immediately. A lot of people know about global entry and TSA PreCheck, but we do have automated passport control kiosks that people can use where they enter their information, and we also have a mobile passport app where people can download, put in their information as soon as they land, and just walk straight through, like global entry.
Wow.
So we have adapted and changed with the times as much as we can in the industry we fall under.
Fantastic. Before you answer that, I want you to, we were talking yesterday about the fact that if you see an Uber driver or a Lyft driver come to the Miami airport, what happens?
Well,
To the driver or to
Share-
the car?
Well, to
the ride sharing applications such as Uber and Lyft are currently not legal in Miami-Dade County. So we don't allow them on property. They will get cited. But we do work with other companies to make sure that people have plenty of options to get from the airport to wherever they need to go. So, we have the super shuttle, we have the taxis. They passed an ordinance last year where every taxi needs to have a credit card machine in it. I know that sounds like it should have been done, but we are getting there now. All the taxis are regulated and insured. And we also have worked a lot with our public transportation partners. So we do have a center right off-site that you can get by a train from the airport that will connect you to the Tri-Rail, to the Metro Rail, to Greyhound, soon Amtrak, and some other bus services. So we can really get you wherever you need to go right from Miami International Airport.
I guess the thing about it is convenience with that, because I was telling them yesterday that I had taken I live in Fort Lauderdale, and I had taken a cab from Fort Lauderdale to my house, and I said, well, what's this extra $3? And it was like airport fee. Oh, I was livid. I said, well, that's why Uber needs to get here, and that's why I'm going to fight for it. And so there's this delicate balance that it was too much, but I felt like being extra that day. So there's this delicate balance that you have between what the consumer needs and what the consumer wants and making it affordable for the consumer versus staying regulated, keeping people safe. So there's that delicate balance that we see. I'm sorry. And you had a question after?
What happened in Florida? What happened in Florida? With Uber and Lyft? Because that's from the standpoint of consumer, that's a major loss. Everybody loves those services.
I believe it was a regulation issue that the companies weren't happy with. I really didn't follow it that closely, so I don't know for sure, but I think it was that they did ask for these companies to provide certain services, and they
Yes.
felt like it was going to be a loss to them.
But the taxi union was very definitely a part of that. Part of it's politics, but it's also a matter of safety, regulation, that kind of thing. I mean, there's a reason why taxis are insured.
I'd also like to say that I've been in a taxi before where it was a legal taxi and I felt unsafe.
Sure.
As a taxi driver was not a safe person.
Well, this is
the
why-
taxi drivers aren't reviewed, so you have no way of knowing when that person should stop. And you don't even know if that person is the same person as the person in the picture. And often once you get in, you realize it's not even the same person. So I think that the safety issue is not necessarily even a crime issue.
Well, there's a reason why Uber is so popular, because I've never met anybody that says I love my taxi ride. I mean, who has said, oh my God, that was the best taxi I've ever had? Nobody. It's creaky, it's old, it smells weird, and the guy, sometimes, taxi drivers can be a little hostile. But there again, they can be,
There's
perfectly
a
pleasant.
line of 50 people or 40,
Yeah.
30 waiting at the airport. I'm not kidding. Last time I went to the airport, I was waiting. There were a line of 40 people. So I found myself a secret Uber driver. Okay. So, and I think a lot of people want to see that because what else are you going to do? You don't want to wait for an hour for a cab. So it's not good customer service.
Yeah, if I may add, the big problem with Uber and Fort Lauderdale is that the city was requiring a background check that Uber did
Yes.
not want to, go into. And also the medallion issue, these cab drivers getting, I don't know how much amount of money. But actually the city actually invited Uber back because of the voter backlash. So, and they're actually pretty close to coming.
Figured out. Well,
Yeah, I mean, it just makes us go backwards. It just makes the whole thing go backwards. And what I do with my Uber drivers to the airport is when they come out and get my bag, I give them like a hug to make it seem like we're family. And they just love that.
See, now she has recorded your face so that you should have told us your trick.
The periscope's not faced that way.
Sit in the front seat, like she said.
You gotta sit in the front seat, that's right. So you don't look like a
And it's not that we're not opposed opposed to these ride sharing. It's just that until it becomes legal in the county, we have to uphold the laws and regulations of where we work.
Yeah, I mean, if you call Yellow Taxi and you want to go to a cab and a cab to the airport, they can pick you up in 20 minutes, or they show up in 45 minutes to pick you up. So, you don't want to make your itinerary, pending their, and the thing with Ubers, you're not allowed, the drivers don't talk on the phone. Whereas your yellow cab drivers, they...
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had a cab driver
love
before come. I was going to the airport. They were coming late. They called me. They said, "I'm at the store. Do you need anything? I need you to get here. That's what I need." So there are all sorts of things with that. At the end of the day, I think it's about choice. It's about having that choice. Maybe I want to wait that 45 minutes for the cab, and I want to have the assurances that this person is bonded and licensed and insured, or I want to have the choice to be able to take a private car if I want. So I think at the end of the day, it's about balancing that choice. Were you going to say something? Okay, well then I
Not
will.
unless you want me to.
Oh, I do, because I have something else that I want to ask you specifically. You talked about the smaller and the boutique hotels. So what does this sharing economy do to those smaller hotels? I'm not talking obviously about the Hiltons and et cetera, but these smaller boutique hotels, for example, like the ones on South Beach that may not be part of a hotel group. What does this do to them?
Well, there are a couple of different sides to that coin, because some of the smaller guys are getting in the game with Airbnb and shared economies like this, right? So they may have rooms that I can think of a hotelier on one of our islands that has some rooms that are not on the main property, that are kind of off to the side. They treat them like timeshares or vacation rentals. They don't get daily, cleaning service. They don't. There are they have limited hotel service, so they're getting in the game, right? I think they're the ones that are really most susceptible to it, because they're the ones that lose out the largest traditionally with the OTAs and the tour operators, because that's where the concern is primarily for us in the region when OTAs become bigger and bigger, is that because these small hoteliers don't have room inventory, they don't have the room capacity that large box hotels have to negotiate buying power, basically, then there is no incentive for an OTA or tour operator really to give these guys a lower commission, right? So I think they're the ones that would most benefit from something like this if we can get it straight and official, and kind of have Airbnb and these kind of shared companies become contributing members of the community somehow.
Fantastic. I'm curious to know, for those of you who have stayed at used a home away or an Airbnb, have you had good experiences for the most part? Has anybody had any bad experiences? Okay, so there are a couple that have had bad experiences. Were they go ahead.
Oh no, I just want to, I have a property in West Palm Beach that it's in Airbnb since February.
Okay.
And I just can't see the growth. Like when I started, there were in West Palm Beach probably 30 to 50 properties, and now I'm seeing more than 100. I just constantly study the market to see prices and that kind of stuff to price my property. And I see hotels, the Holiday Inn, these kind of hotels listing rooms all the time now on Airbnb. So that's how they're kind of getting into it. And I just wanted to add that I have used Airbnb when I travel, and all my experiences have been fantastic all the time. And I have hosted now this year more than 50 people from all over the world, and it's awesome. I meet new people all the time. I get a professional cleaning company that takes care of the apartment in between guests. And Airbnb sends me a form with the revenue that I generated, and I have to pay taxes. So somehow giving back and just taking care of that part. But it has been a good experience from both sides.
I went on a West Coast road trip this summer when I drove from actually LA up to Seattle. And during that time period, I stayed at both Airbnbs as well as hotels. And I had wonderful experiences at both. And I think that there are times when you really want to stay at a hotel. For example, there were some days I just needed a quick check-in and check-out. You can't do that in an Airbnb. And so I think that with the sharing economy, It's just things are changing. You have to figure out what is going to make it different. What is it this experience that this person's looking for? And I think there are times when we want both experiences. Actually. I mean, I'd like to pay less sometimes, but sometimes I'm willing to pay more. It's more convenient, and I'm looking for that better experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great, great, great. Any other comments or thoughts? Yes, please.
I have a comment or a question as well. Can you tell us about the other 40% of the properties? You said most of your businesses are 40%?
We have, Sandals Resorts is a major partner of ours, so they have 20 properties in the region. Yeah, they have 10 just in Jamaica. They have in St. Lucia, Antigua, Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. We have a growing number of room inventory from the Spanish hotel chains. So Iberostar, Meliá, Riu, Palladium. We have a lot of those guys still building strong in the region. We have American brands as well. We have Mandarin Oriental in the region. We have Starwood, Rosewood, Hilton, Marriott's, all kinds. St. Regis. We have a W in Vieques. So those are some of the brands that are represented. And then we have, of course, we have the more economy scale Holiday Inn, Sunspree. We have Choice Hotels. We have just about any kind of range of room that you're looking at, any level from luxury to value. So that's the other 40%.
Fantastic. So time check for somebody. This session is going to 3:20. Somebody, is that correct? So it's 3:18. Yeah. Okay. I'm watching time. So we have 2 minutes left. So I just wanted to ask you all this. I'm always very interested in the developing world, and most of the Caribbean is still the developing world. I'm Nigerian, so I'm very interested in that. Do you see this whole sharing economy in the way we perceive it in the West, spreading to places like Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Myanmar, places in Southeast Asia? Do you see that happening, and when do you see it happening?
I see it happening as quickly as they can make it happen between the suppliers of rooms and Airbnb and other companies and the like. As long as you have airlift there, as long as there's air service from whatever airline, there's going to be something like this pop up. And sometimes emerging faster than traditional hotel groups can in developing economies. Yeah.
Just look at how quickly it boomed in Cuba, which was something fairly recent that it was opened up in there. I think it happened back in March, April.
Yeah.
April, yeah.
And I think that it will grow because there is the people that are requesting and asking for it and looking for it, so it will. And you don't have to build anything; it's already there.
The reason I ask is because I noticed the other day Facebook is now building in economies. They just noticed that Nigerians use Facebook, and just noticed that South Africans and Kenyans use Facebook. So that's why I'm asking, because sometimes they ignore some industries, ignore the word, and there are like 10 million Facebook users in Nigeria alone, and it's like, oh, you're just now recognizing that we use Facebook. So that's why I asked to gauge what the industry was doing. Are we being ignored, or they're trying, they just haven't gotten there yet?
Well, that's the other piece of the puzzle that I didn't touch on. So you need air service, you need demand, people wanting to go there, and you need social media. That's it. As long as you got that, it's coming.
And as marketers, we're always looking to see where our followers are. Where are they? Who wants to know about us? Who's looking into us? And we should know where those demographics are. So that is something that us as marketers should be aware of and always looking into, and know who your top 3, what 3 countries are your top 3 countries, things like that. And even if you have 3 people in Nigeria, you can be like, wow, look,
3 people in
3
Nigeria.
people in Nigeria
That's right.
follow Miami International Airport.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Wow. Well, we could go on forever with this because this is really interesting. So much more to talk about. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to do such. But I'm so glad it was packed in here today. Thank you so much for. Let's give our panelists a round.